Good morning, everyone. The Delaware County Commissioner meeting for February the 26th, 2024 is now in session. Would you stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Again, good morning, everyone. I'm Gary Merrill, Board Chair this year, and to my right is Vice Chair Barb Lewis, and of course, you know our Administrator, Tracy Davies, and Don Houston, our Deputy Administrator, and Eric Hostetler, other Deputy Administrator, are all with us today, as is Jennifer and Ellie. So let's proceed.
Resolution number 24-148, in the matter of approving electronic record of proceedings from regular meeting held February 22nd, 2024.
So move.
Second, discussion, vote.
Vote on motion 24-148. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
And Mr. Benton is absent today. We do not have any public comment today, so that brings us to item number 3. Resolution number 24-149, in the matter of approving purchase orders and now certificates and payments of warrants in batch number CM APR 0223.
So move.
Second, discussion, vote.
Vote on motion 24-149. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 24-150, in the matter of approving the Child Placement Service Contract, First Amendment and Second Amendment between the Delaware County Board of Commissioners, the Delaware County Department of Job and Family Services, and Child Placement Provider, Our Children, Our Future, LLC.
So move.
Second, discussion.
Good morning, Commissioners. Bob Anderson with Job and Family Services. This is a placement contract for a youth that we currently have in care. We began the process in that time. The rate was changed as it increased to the Second Amendment. The youth was actually still expecting a mother, which increased our pay.
Any questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 24-150. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
For item number 5, we have a presentation by Director Eric Pinkel of the Guardianship Services Board.
Good morning, Commissioners. Eric Pinkel, Director of the Delaware County Guardianship Services Board. Just a short presentation today. I'm here to discuss the lease of a new Nissan Altima for use for our public agency. Just a quick background. Our mission is up there about us serving incompetent wards of Delaware County through appointments by the probate court, and our values and mission statements there are enumerated. Most importantly, I'd like to point you guys to number 2 there, and it says involve individuals we serve to the greatest extent possible in all decision making. Hello? Okay.
Got it.
To that end, our board and community partners have certain expectations of us to be out and about in the community and meeting with our wards. Our current board members, just to refresh this board's recollection, are Chief Adam Moore. He is an appointee of the Delaware Morrow Mental Health and Recovery Services Board. J. Michael Nix, who is an appointee of the Delaware County Board of Developmental Disabilities, and Adam Reinhardt, who is a appointee of Judge Hemanowski over at the probate court. Our current community partners are the commissioners, the probate court, the mental health board, the DD board, Jobs and Family Services, SourcePoint, and just recently added, we entered into a contract with Ohio Health for referral-based payment and acceptance of wards. So for each ward that we are referred by Ohio Health, we'll get $2,500. And for each guardianship that is accepted from Ohio Health, we'll get $8,500. So $8,500 total if we end up accepting the guardianship from Ohio Health. That is being done so with Ohio Health because they see the benefit in guardianship and the cost savings that accompany it. Mainly in those situations, folks are in the hospital for long-term placements where they shouldn't be in the hospital for long-term placements, I should say, but end up there because they have no other place to go. So we've had wards rack up hundreds of thousands of dollars in hospital bills. And if the Guardianship Services Board would have been in place earlier, obviously the hospital would have been able to offset that by getting guardianship in place so that they could be placed outside of the hospital setting. So they see the benefit in our program. To the lease itself and the need for that, we have 25 current wards, 8 pending. Currently, we have 7 out-of-county wards. I think I spoke with Justin a week or two ago, and that number was 8 as of Tuesday of last week. And our expectation is that we visit each ward 1 time per month, at a minimum. It's turning out that we're visiting folks a lot more than that. These are high acuity cases in which lots of services and focus is needed on each of these individuals. Approximately 820 miles of out-of-county travel is done per month. That's just out-of-county travel. That does not include in-county travel, which is, the number would be far more than that. And the purpose of the lease, it was recommended by Delaware County Facilities, John Melvin, given the fact that we are going out-of-county so much. And our current vehicle setup is that we use retired sheriff's office vehicles. We have one currently and another one that Ron is working on. But given the fact that we are traveling out of county, Delaware County Facilities felt it would be appropriate at this time to get a lease, to get a little bit more of a reliable, lower mileage vehicle for our social workers to rely upon. The vehicles are only used for county business. There is no personal use allowed. We do only have one vehicle, and our mileage reimbursement policy states that our social workers have to use that vehicle. They can't use their personal vehicles for county business if there is a vehicle available, and they're supposed to work out a schedule between them to try to use the one vehicle that we have. They still end up using their personal vehicles, even when a county vehicle isn't available, and they forego mileage reimbursement
Because,
because they care about the people we serve.
I mean, rather than using one of the county vehicles, right?
When it's not available. So if
Okay,
one
okay.
person is using the county vehicle, another ward can't go be seen unless they're willing to go use their personal vehicle, or if I approve their usage.
It's my understanding you have 2 vehicles currently, or you have a second one on the way, right?
We have one, and we have a second one on the way. The one that we have now, though, is many miles over its oil change. So as soon as we get the second vehicle, we're going to be sending it over to facilities to be serviced.
Sorry to interrupt, go ahead.
Yeah, so, our board has approved this. Mr. Moore, Mr. Reinhardt, and Mr. Nix have approved that. Current funds and budget are available and allocated for that. We have in the budget about $3,000 for mileage reimbursement. And at the current IRS reimbursement rate of 67 cents per mile, if we were to lose that one sheriff's vehicle, we would exhaust that line item very, very quickly. We are budgeted, and we do have the funds in place to cover the lease based upon the estimate that we received from Justin. So that will give us certainty to be able to go and see the individuals. And it'll also allow us to do a little bit more rapid engagement. A lot of our folks end up in the hospital, or there are certain emergencies. Just the other week, one of our wards decided to do an emergency doctor's appointment. So rather than just call 911 and go to the hospital, which is a good thing, she set a doctor's appointment, but she had no ride. We had to kind of drop everything, and one of us used our personal vehicles. Brandy used one of her personal vehicle to go pick her up and take her to that doctor's appointment. If we had that extra car in place, the extra cars in place would allow for that more rapid engagement in the community. Also, the sheriff's office's retired SUVs, I guess we'll call it, We've noticed that some of our disabled and older wards have trouble getting in and out of them. And I think the lower platform of a sedan or Nissan, I think it's an Altima. I know nothing about cars, so I may be saying that completely wrong. Whatever they are, a sedan, I guess they would be considered. It would be a little bit easier, it would be a lot easier for our wards to get in and out of the vehicles. And so that would help as well. I do want to keep the costs down, so I do like the setup that we have with Delaware County Facilities with the Sheriff's Office vehicles, so we can replace those as they come offline. But other than that, I would ask for your support in approving the resolution to get that lease. So if there are any other questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Just a clarification, then you have the sheriff's vehicle, you say, okay, and then the second vehicle
Is another sheriff's vehicle.
is another sheriff's vehicle?
Yeah, and they have roughly 130,000 miles on them or something along those lines. But I think the city does something similar, and other county agencies may do something similar with retired sheriff's vehicles, is where they come offline. Basically, another public agency runs them into the ground, basically uses them as a cost savings. I think that's an important cost savings, so that we don't utilize resources that aren't necessarily needed.
And then where did the decision come then to not use personal vehicles?
So people can't, we do use I use my personal vehicle all the time, and I don't take a dime of mileage reimbursement. So our staff does use personal vehicles. What our policy says is that they need to work together to arrange for their visits for use of the sheriff's vehicle that we have. And if one is not available and they need to go see somebody, they just need to ask me for permission and they'll get mileage reimbursement. But
Okay.
there are times when they'll tell me, well, I gotta go see this person, and I'll say, well, can't that wait till tomorrow? Because the vehicle will be ready for tomorrow. And they'll say yes or no, and if I say no, then they'll still go out and use their personal vehicle. Because they care that much about the people we serve.
Okay.
And they're doing a lot with their stuff. And I don't want to put that, have them make that choice, because I think that if we have a vehicle available, they should be using that, and we shouldn't have to pay for mileage reimbursement if that's the case. But
How many staff, Eric, go out to make these trips?
all four of us. But the two main social workers are the ones that are going out and making the trips.
Okay,
and
so
then-
two people
Yeah.
usually.
And then our service coordinator, she's a new position, and she's kind of transforming into her role, as it were. She's taken over the financial aspects of our board because we are no longer associated with the probate court. We don't have that ability to use Karen Watkins, who was awesome for us at the time, but Brandy is not doing that for us. But also, one of the things that is part of her job description that I'd like her to get into is the rapid engagement aspect of it. So when the social workers are out making their visits and doing their normal meetings with either the DD board or mental health board providers, if somebody does have an acute situation where they're in the hospital or things like that, that we can go visit them a little bit more readily. And I can do that, and Brandy can do that, so.
Okay, thank you.
I have a couple of questions. First of all, there is no question that I think all three commissioners are fully supportive of the guardianship program. I think we've made that very clear back in its inception.
Yes, sir.
And when this was on the agenda a week or two ago, in the checking that I did, I asked facilities, how many miles have we put on the vehicle that you were using? Over the last 12 months, he said 8,600 miles. That's not a lot of miles. And certainly, what I need to understand is, well, one, you're about to get a second vehicle. We don't even know, until you get that vehicle and you can start managing the use of those two vehicles, it's hard for me to understand why we would want a third vehicle. You said 25 current wards, 8 pending, and how many of those were out of county?
7 currently. And one of the things I would just point out to you is that every time we have an individual that has higher needs that's living in the county, we have to move them out of county because there isn't that housing infrastructure here. So we had to move somebody all the way to Millersburg a couple weeks ago, or a month ago or so, because that was the closest place that would take them that was appropriate for their level of care. So every time that we have somebody every time we have somebody that needs a higher level of care, they're not staying here in Delaware.
And I understand your point, but if that, how many times does that happen? Once, twice, 3 times a year?
A lot.
Well, it can't happen a lot. You only put 8,600 miles in the car. Now, I don't know how many you did personal miles. I don't have that information.
No.
So a lot really doesn't answer my question. Maybe you need to, maybe you can get that
1, 2, 3,
information.
4, 5, at least 7. There were 7 times. One of the people that we just had was down at Ohio State Harding Mental Health Hospital that we transferred up here to Delaware to the Star Center, so he's local
So
now.
7 times in the last 12 months, last year?
Roughly.
Okay. And some of those are being handled by your current vehicle, and you're about to get a second vehicle. So
Hopefully.
the question becomes, how many would that leave? 1, 2, 3? And at some point, there's justification to this request, but it'd be easier to go to Enterprise and rent a car for the day than to get an extra third car just to sit there the bulk of the time, using that as an example. My concern is when you get the second, to me, it would be helpful if you had the second vehicle, you had it in place, it was up and functioning, and then we could make an evaluation whether a third vehicle is needed. We're going from 1 vehicle to 3 vehicles without that interim step, and I have trouble understanding that.
Sure. And I can understand that. And just as a snapshot, here is 2023, we started tracking when the vehicle was being used. So in July, this is how often the 1 vehicle was being used. In August, here's how often the vehicle was being used out and about, either in county or out of county. In September, here's how often the vehicle is used. And it's important to remember that when the vehicle is used, that means we can't, it's not being able to be used for somebody else. And I do understand the hesitation, sir. I am completely mindful of that. One of the main things is reliability, and secondly, the aspect of getting our wards in and out of the vehicle is another thing.
So that's another question. Perhaps the unreliable vehicle should be taken out of service.
I don't think it's, I don't, the purpose of we'll call it a program, using the old sheriff's office vehicles is our role is to basically run it into the ground. It's serviceable now, it's good. It's stripped down inside. It's certainly not a Cadillac, even though I don't know if Cadillacs are Cadillacs anymore, but, so, and I completely understand the commissioner's hesitation, and as you can see, as I'm kind of going through the months, the vehicle is being used and the vehicles will be used. We're averaging 2 new wards a month, and it's just going to keep growing and growing and growing.
Well, again, I feel like, I'm not trying to be argumentative.
Sure.
But I try to make sure we make good use of the taxpayers' dollars.
Absolutely.
There is no doubt in my mind, there is a point where a third vehicle is probably going to be necessary. My question is, I don't know that we're there today. The calendar here that you show is for 1 vehicle. You're about to get a second vehicle.
Mhm.
I don't see the argument for a third vehicle today. But I don't disagree that at some point there will be a reason for that. And an occasional use of a personal vehicle is a much more economical way to do it than have a vehicle which would theoretically, based on the numbers, the calendar I'm looking at here, would set a great deal of the time. We could probably find another vehicle on occasion if that was the issue on an emergency basis. I'm personally unconvinced. Again, make sure I'm clear. If you do the math, when you get the second vehicle, you're going to have 520 vehicle days. If 5 days a week, 52 weeks, you're going to have 520 theoretical vehicle days. The days we're using the vehicle are pretty small out of that total day. And I realize that One day, maybe two vehicles or three vehicles. And maybe a little bit of that could be planning about when you set
Yes.
the meetings.
Certainly.
I just need to be convinced, and for the benefit of the taxpayers, when that legitimacy to add that third vehicle is. And I don't frankly today see it.
I think it's the type of vehicle also.
I'm sorry?
I think it's the type of vehicle, as I discussed, also is important, is that this isn't the sheriff's SUV, as it were, and we are able to,
But you're not
get
here
our
making the
folks-
argument, taking that vehicle out of service and keeping it
no,
too.
but I'm saying that using that vehicle, using the lease vehicle out of county is a little bit easier of a ride, and it is a little bit more reliable.
And you're
I would
about to
say.
get that second vehicle in the next few weeks, correct?
It's another sheriff's SUV, yes.
Okay.
Hopefully.
Um,
We're supposed to get it, we're supposed to have it this week, hopefully. So, yeah. I mean, I completely understand, I completely understand your point. A lot of this came at the recommendation of facilities, so the genesis of it.
I spoke to John last week.
Yeah.
John did not indicate that, so that's a question I will have for John, but John did not indicate that recommendation. Maybe it is. I encouraged him to be here today, he's not. But I will certainly pose that question.
I didn't even know leasing vehicles was an option, so
Okay.
I'm learning.
I
as
want to make
go.
sure you and your staff have the right vehicles. I just don't,
Sure.
but generally, what this commissioner, and I won't speak for my fellow commissioners, when a vehicle is purchased, we want to take it out of service because of repairs, et cetera, et cetera.
Sure.
You're talking about extra maintenance, and you said an oil change you haven't done. So, those are my concerns. I am going to suggest, first of all, do you have anything else to add, Commissioner Lewis?
No, I mean, there are just two of us here today,
Yeah,
so if
so-
we want to wait
Yeah,
on it.
Yeah, I'm going to suggest that we
Commissioners?
defer a vote until all three of us are here.
Commissioners, Tracy Davies, County Administrator, why don't I have a conversation with John Melvin and get a better understanding of the status of the vehicle they currently have, the vehicle they're potentially going to be assigned, so we can kind of work through this a little bit and give you some more information.
Okay.
Way I look at it, those are your vehicles. If you told me one of those are coming out of service, maybe I could justify the two vehicles.
Okay.
But I don't think every one of those vehicles has maintenance, every one of those vehicles has costs. We took them out of service for a reason. And driving into the ground, using your term, someday that's gonna be driven to the ground, and you're gonna come back and want to replace that vehicle because you're currently using it. And that's the concern about having too many vehicles out there, and then maybe replacing them with a lease vehicle. So, Tracy, I think that's an excellent point, and Commissioner Lewis, I agree. We will defer a vote on this until all three of us are here to vote on it.
And I don't intend to replace sheriff's office vehicles with lease vehicles. I intend to replace sheriff's office vehicles with sheriff's office vehicles, free vehicles. The lease vehicle would be a standalone. Just as a point, I won't be coming back to the commissioners for multiple lease vehicles. So just
Okay.
to make that point clear.
Thank you, Eric.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
And Jennifer, we'll defer until we're all three present,
All
okay?
right. Just for clarification, when that, I know that all three of you are going to be present to vote on it, would you like Eric to attend that session?
Of course,
or-
of
Okay.
course. And Eric, that might be appropriate. Commissioner Benton obviously will have an opportunity to view this.
Sure.
But I would encourage you, if you can make that meeting, and Jennifer can give you the date, then to answer any questions that might come up.
Yeah,
And Tracy's going to do a little research and get a few other answers as well.
I will be here at your leisure. So if you guys want me here, I'll be here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Eric.
Proceed.
For item number 6, we have our emergency management specialist with us today, doing a presentation to the board on the April 8th solar eclipse. So we'll just need a minute to change our video here. Nope.
And I heard your presentation at the Orange Township meeting, and you did an excellent job.
Thank you very much, sir. I said, my name is J.C. Weber. I'm the Emergency Management Specialist with Delaware County Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Management. We've been planning for over 2 years now for the April 8th total solar eclipse coming here to Delaware County. The map showing the full state, all of the lines in the middle there are the area where there'll be totality, which means there'll be darkness in the middle of the day. Here in Delaware County, we are 95% of the county, a very small piece of Harlem Township is not included in totality. We'll experience about 2 minutes of totality for this event. The rest of the state, you can see the eclipse, but you won't be able to experience that totality, which is why it's such a big deal here for the county. The map of the county with the green dots on it, that is from Ohio EMA's website. That is where the state is advertising that there is eclipse viewing available. So there are many places in Delaware County where you can come and see the eclipse. Their map doesn't even include all of our open areas that people who may have family or friends here will come and visit. This is the beginning times for the eclipse. This is when the sun starts to be covered, the amount when the totality begins, and the duration. The timing of totality being right around 3 o'clock in the afternoon presents its own set of challenges that we've had to work for, because that is a lot of shift change times for different industries around the county, as well as times that we have students on buses, because April 8th is a Monday. Along with this, the information we've been getting from the state, this graphic is from thegreatamericaneclipse.com. The person who created the presentation on this website is a research scientist who does ArcGIS, statistical, human movement, and behavior studies. So Ohio EMA was able to verify him as a good scientific source for this information. It shows some of the movement around how many people we can expect. Now, this graphic and the information on the website is only population that's going to come in from out of state. It doesn't include population movement from in the state or any of our own county residents moving around. We've been operating for a 2 years planning period that we could possibly double the population of the county. And then some of the major concerns with that are, like every other sporting event or our little brown jug here in Delaware County, as soon as it's over, everybody wants to leave all at the same time.
Yeah.
So you have that very high peak of traffic inundation, and we have a lot of highways through here, so even if people aren't necessarily staying in Delaware County, they'll be moving through the county in order to get to their destination. So that traffic congestion has been one of our major concerns. ODOT with the state EMA has put together some mapping for us with some very talented researchers and mathematicians on what that's going to look like. So you can see from this map, those darker purple areas are where there's going to be more congestion. From what we have learned, that people like to be where people is, why there is more totality along the center of this area. You can experience a greater length, so 3 to 4 minutes. There's also not a lot of infrastructure there. So there's not a lot of places to stay. There's not a lot of, it's a lot of farm fields, which are good places to view, but not as much fun stuff to take your family to for the whole weekend if you're gonna come up for that. So we have a lot of, we have a chance here in Delaware County to attract a lot more visitors because we have lots of infrastructure, there's stuff to do, and hey, you can stay for the solar eclipse on Monday to come through. So we've been encouraging people to arrive early and stay late and stay put. The photo on the screen is from the 2017 Kentucky eclipse. They received about the same, this area of Kentucky received about the same amount of totality and the same amount of infrastructure as we did. That traffic jam that's pictured there lasted for 5 hours with people in bumper-to-bumper traffic. So we've been working to do what we can and to make sure that we can get emergency vehicles and responders to help deal with this traffic management issue. We've been including, as well as encouraging people and locals to, you know, prepare ahead of time. Maybe similar to myself I accidentally went shopping on the Saturday before the Super Bowl. It was not a good decision on my part. There wasn't a lot of stuff in my grocery store left. There were a lot of people there. So similar to your planning to those types of special events here in the county for you and your family, to go out and fill up the gas tank on the Thursday before. Go to the grocery store during the week. Pick up those pharmacy needs or anything else you need at your house the week before and not on that Monday. avoid scheduling appointments after work that day because the chances of you getting caught in this traffic jam are a lot higher. And if you do all of those things, and then you can hang out at home and see the solar eclipse just out in your backyard, because most of Delaware County is in the totality, and you get to experience this once-in-a-lifetime event, and then not have to deal with the huge amount of traffic and issues that could happen afterwards. With our operational group, we've been talking about communication stress. Many people trying to use all the same cell towers and the internet all at the same time can stress the overall system. Similar to if you're on the fairgrounds during the Little Brown Jug, sometimes it's hard to get out to use the wireless on your phone because there's so many other people doing that. So we've been letting people know that, and also encouraging the information to be put out that our 911 center accepts text 911. So if you and your family have an emergency and you need to get out and your cell phone is not working, you can also have a good probability of getting out via text. So pushing that information out to the public so everyone can be aware of that as well. And then the Commissioner's Office helped us put together a solar eclipse website. The picture there is the social media graphic that we've been using to get the information out to the public. From that website, there are links where you can learn about eclipse safety. You can learn about the different events happening here in Delaware County. You can learn about having a temporary campground or food truck if you're interested in being a host of an event. So as well as you can sign up for a bulletin that we've been sending out, monthly bulletins since the first of the year, to anyone who wants to receive them, that are kind of just checkpoints of this is what you should be thinking about now for your planning process for yourself to get ready for this day. This is information that comes through that eclipse website as well from Perkins Observatory here in the county. Are different things that he has been asked whether or not you should use to view the eclipse, as well as some things that you should be using if you're going to view the eclipse. You should not look directly at the sun. Looking at the sun is bad for you. It's bad for your eyes, but there are ways that you can view the eclipse and protect your eyes. The number one of that being the eclipse glasses with that certified CE label. That's a NASA certification that says that the density of the darkness is enough to actually protect your eyes from this event. We had experience talking to other groups and communities that have a totality that as we get closer to the eclipse glasses become harder to find, and they become knockoff items. So you want to make sure that they have that CE label so you know that the safety there has been tested appropriately. So what the county has been doing, as we started with, we've been preparing for over 2 years for this event with all of our operational emergency responders across the county. At the end of 2023, we finished our operational emergency response plan for the county for that day to get everyone kind of on the same page and have the information flowing. So we've been preparing an event venue list that grows daily. For me, checking events in social media, we have a lot of businesses in the county that are holding solar eclipse events, including the fairgrounds and the zoo. I give many presentations like this, and like the one that you attended, Commissioner. We have regular situational update meetings to make sure that all of our different county emergency operations stakeholders have the information with where events pop up in their community. That way, if they want to reach out to those event vendors and things like that and get more individualized information for the fire and police, they can do that. And let everyone else know what kind of information is being put out to the public. That way, if they have to field questions, they know what's the information that's been floating around out there as much as possible. We've also been keeping track of hotel and campground reservations for that weekend to know how many visitors we can kind of expect to come in for the whole weekend. Delaware State Park Campground has been completely booked for this weekend since fall last year.
What about the other hotels in the area? Are they booked at a higher level than typical or same as? Or?
So the last information, I've been communicating with Tim Wilson of Main Street, Delaware, because he has a lot of contacts with the hotels, and they are receiving higher bookings than they had before for this weekend, but they are not solidly booked yet. So we're not completely full, so there are still some rooms available, but it is higher bookings than they've had previous years for this weekend, because that's how the hotels track that piece of information. Does that answer your question?
Being we have this thread on the Delaware County Commissioners, or State of Ohio Commissioners, and one of the questions, they're checking hotel bookings to determine what impact it will or will not have. They've indicated in some of their cases they're sold out. The fact that we're not sold out, maybe due to our location, maybe due to any number of reasons, maybe is a reason.
So one of the things that my office has been doing is we're communicating with the other EMAs that are in totality in our regional area, because they are similar to us. And I know at the end of last year, the counties just to the north to us in the totality band, around the holiday time is when they book solid for this weekend. So I am expecting our hotels to fill up. I just don't think we're quite there yet.
Okay.
Additionally, the Emergency Operations Center for Delaware County will be open on the day of the eclipse to help with any day of issues or needs. It's a way for us to get everybody in the same room together. That way we can problem solve if we come up with anything that day. And then always important, I appreciate the commissioners inviting me to speak here today on this, because getting buy-in from everyone across the county that they need to think about this before April 8th on that Monday morning is really important, because just a little bit of preparedness ahead of time will alleviate a lot of the stressors on our operational emergency responders that day, and also allow the public to have a low-stress eclipse day, which will make for a much more enjoyable event. That is all I have.
JC, do you know if the cities, other cities or townships, especially like in the northern part of the county, really reaching up? It looks like it's just from Delaware north, I mean, as far as totality goes, although it's at an angle. Is anybody else, any other governmental body planning anything?
Yes. So the fellow EMAs kind of north of us have been working with their governmental bodies, their first responders, cities, municipalities, their county commissioners on getting prepared for this event. What that looks like varies across county based on what that individual county is most worried about. When we first started the planning process, and then a little bit throughout the beginning of it, we asked all of our different kind of operational responder groups and municipalities and everything what they were most worried about, and they told us they were worried about traffic and communications. So that's what we have focused on our planning around, because that's what they told us they were most worried about. So that's what we've tried to focus on and get them the information they need to make the plans possible. I know some of our fire departments are pre-staging stuff in other locations that's not necessarily the station, because they're worried about being able to get to everyone in big traffic jams. We have lots of first responder groups who are changing their shifts for that day, so they're going to 10 or 12-hour shifts in order to make sure there's enough personnel on hand to respond to a higher level of emergencies, especially if that cruiser or piece of equipment is going to be out of service because of the traffic level for a longer period of time, responding to a single call.
Are cities like Powell doing anything, or others within the county?
Within the county, yes. So I know the city of Powell, their police department is changing up their shift schedule, so they get more responders, more officers available that day. They're also looking at and talking to the zoo, because the zoo is holding an event, and similar to Wild Lights, who also causes traffic issues on that part of town, they want to have that communication line open with them. So if there's anything that can be done, try to work it out ahead of time if we can. But a lot of our departments across the county for emergency response are not allowing, aren't available for special duty that day, because they assume that everyone is going to be very busy and they're going to need every hand that they can get for that initial push of traffic. And after we get through that, right now the state estimates it's a 4 to 5 hour bump right after the event, and then it'll peter out to maybe heavy holiday weekend traffic. They can then allow staff to go home as needed, depending on how that actually flows through here in Delaware County.
Okay, City of Delaware, as far as what they're doing?
Yep, they're doing lots of stuff too, very similar setup where they are all looking at that. They're also, because of the construction at the point, looking at how, roadway stuff will work around here and everything like that. I've spoken to their board of directors a couple of times where they had questions. We've spoken with their airport several times, the airport here in the county several times, just so they are prepared to what the possible influx could mean for them, so they're aware and can make their internal plans as needed.
How about this question? Will there be extra porta potties outside?
So as of right now, every porta-john company in the state of Ohio has a wait list for this particular weekend, is what the state of Ohio has let us know. They have been keeping track with every individual business. So everyone is waitlisted, so those who are not booked those for their events, they may have a very difficult time finding one.
Okay.
People who have booked event space early or have facilities, because it is April, which is earlier than a lot of our parks and stuff necessarily open their restrooms. They'll have that. We have several parks that are planning to open restroom facilities earlier just because they're expecting that influx of people and want to be able to give them the resources that they need to support them to not create a sanitation issue. But individual events kind of have to work that out. There's not a lot I can do about that at this point if you did not plan far enough ahead for that particular issue.
Oh, okay. And thank you for all your efforts on this. I know it's been many months you've been working on this, and also with the some of the others on the EMA team, but you've been in charge and the leader. So thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
So I have just a couple of questions, observations. First of all, you may have mentioned, I may have overlooked it or missed it, the schools are closing that day, correct?
Yes, all of our school districts in Delaware County, our big school districts, are closing school or having a distance learning day. One of our school districts is sending their students home with like a Eclipse science packet to do with their family that day, which I think personally sounds really fun. But all of our big school districts are canceling school that day or having distance learning. That way we don't have students in buses on 4 to 5 hours of traffic, because personally that would be a nightmare scenario for me, because
And that's roughly the time some of them start releasing that day, so that's
which
kind of
which is one of the problems with that.
the, one of the threads that we have, I alluded to earlier, is a Q&A that we ask online. And one of the questions is, how is each county handling that? Now, I did not take the area where the eclipse actually exists, but most of them are maintaining services as normal, with very few are taking any action beyond that. But I did not go through and look at the gray area and see how many were in that area, so that's probably not a real good survey on my part. As far as glasses, are they available at a number of locations?
So we have a lot of different county partners that are doing programs for glasses, both for like public entities and for the general public. There are several places that are starting to give out Eclipse. They're doing Eclipse programming before the event, and if you attend the program, you can come and get glasses. Columbus Public Libraries is just doing a bulk glasses giveaway starting in March. There are several other entities around that are starting to give away glasses. Usually March 1st seems to be about the tipping point for most of those events, because about a month beforehand they figure that's when people are really going to want to get out and get their glasses. I do know there's lots of vendors available. In fact, I went to my very local hardware store this weekend and they had boxes of glasses sitting at checkout. So they are around in the county. There's just depending on whether or not you wish to purchase them or you want to find a pair that would be free.
Okay. Well, in closing, and Commissioner Lewis serves on the EMA board, I think, are we prepared about as well as we could prepare for this event? And I know a lot of time and effort's gone into it. I just thought it'd be helpful to kind of make that summary today to reassure people that we are taking it seriously and we're doing everything we can to make it a good experience for those who want to experience it.
Yes, we are.
So, yeah, anything else, Commissioner Lewis?
No, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very
Jason.
much, appreciate it.
All right, that brings us to item number 7 on page 167. Resolution number 24-151. In the matter of approving a contribution agreement with North Star New Community Authority for facility upgrades at the North Star Water Reclamation Facility.
So move.
Second, discussion.
Morning, Commissioners. Tiffany Mag, Director of Environmental Services. So this is an agreement for us to have a cost-sharing arrangement with North Star Residential Development Company. It's a $30,000 CMAR pre-construction phase contract, so it's going to be split up by 74% paid by North Star, 26% paid by the county. So our share is $8,000 of that $30,000 for this initial phase. And this will establish the guaranteed maximum price of the project that would then move forward.
Questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 24-151. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Resolution number 24-152. in the matter of approving an agreement with Peterson Construction Company for CMAR services for the North Star Water Reclamation Facility upgrades.
So moved.
Second, discussion.
So this is the same project. This is the agreement with the contractor to do the work to establish that guaranteed maximum price, which is Peterson Construction Company.
Questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 24-152. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 24-153, in the matter of approving a service agreement with CCC Environmental LTD for on-call CCTV and sewer cleaning services.
So moved.
Second, discussion.
So this is on-call services for when we get calls from developers that they're ready for the final closeout of their projects. At times, we need to supplement our existing staff with these services. So the $74,999 should get us through the remainder of 2024 with that supplemental program that we have for those closeout services.
Questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 24-153. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Resolution number 24-154, in the matter of waiving the Delaware County portion of tipping fees at the solid waste transfer station to support 2024 litter control campaigns.
So moved.
Second, discussion.
So this is the reoccurring program we've been doing every year for the Keep Delaware County Beautiful program. We waive our portion of the tipping fees, which is $3.50 per ton. Rumpke also participates by waiving some of their fees as well.
Questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 24-154. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 24-155, a resolution of necessity for purchase or lease of a motor vehicle for the use of the Delaware County Regional Sewer District.
So moved.
Second, discussion.
So this is a semi-truck purchase that we budgeted for 2024. We had originally budgeted this purchase in 2023, but due to a retirement of our truck driver, we didn't purchase it that year because we felt like it wouldn't be useful until we got the truck driver hired. So now we have a full-time truck driver and do need to replace our existing semi-truck, which has, I think, over 450,000 miles, and the engine is discontinued, so it's very expensive to repair.
Okay. Questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 24-155. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
All right, we have a presentation from Director Mag.
Great, thanks, Jennifer.
You're welcome.
So we had a really busy month of February. Things really seem to be picking back up, as you can see from the plan approvals on the top with the pink colors there. Redwood Powell, this is a new development that came in, which is an apartment complex just east of Sawmill Road, or Sawmill Parkway, 165 units. And then Encore Park of Powell is another new development, which is 19 condo units by Grand Communities. Now, this one is actually in the city of Powell. And then we have the new Ohio State Health Complex. It's on Home Road and Sawmill Parkway. This one, the initial phase is 61 ERUs, or 61 units. Eventually, they'll have a phase 2, and we will have to do a sewer extension with a new 12-inch sewer to be able to provide service for that second phase. So we'll be in coordination with them to make sure that we're ready to go when they're ready to open up that second phase. And then the next one is Carlton at Berkshire. This is another apartment complex by Metro at the corner of Wilson Road and Ryder Road, kind of up there by 36, 37, and 71. They have 201 ERUs in this apartment complex. Let me back this up. And then as far as subdividers agreements, Hidden Creek Estates Section 1, this is an extension of a project that was platted back in 2007 and just kind of been hanging out there, and they asked for an extension on the subdividers agreement on this one. And then we have Orange Summit Communities. They have a piece of off-site sewer as well as their on-site. This is at the corner of 23 and Shanahan Road. This is that Schottenstein's complex, another apartment complex that has 182 units in the first phase, and then, yeah, so it's 182 units total. So the ERUs is the equivalent number of units for that total number of apartments that they have. And then Liberty Grand District, Section 11, this is MI, just kind of continuing forward with that next section of that community, which, you know, we've seen this one on session quite a bit. They're continuing to roll through it pretty quickly. And then finally, Berlin Farms, Section 2. This is up off of Berlin Station Road and Rollison Pyatt Road. This is another MI subdivision, at 42 units in Section 2. So with that, I'll take any questions.
I have no questions. Commissioner Lewis?
Yes, the OSU outpatient facility going in, could you tell us a little bit more about that?
So all we know so far is that they plan on building two phases. This is at the corner of, it's the northeast corner of Home and Sawmill Parkway.
Okay.
And so we have an agreement with them that they can build that first phase. The first phase, we have an 8-inch sewer that this will flow into, which we can allow them to go up to 61.5 units of flow into that sewer before we need to build the 12-inch extension down. So we'll be in coordination with them and also the schools. It's right next to Olentangy Liberty High School. So we'll be working together on a project that would probably service that school as well to take some of that flow over to the new 12-inch.
Sure. How big then, at least for the first phase, do you know?
Like square footage wise?
Yes.
I'm
Or
not sure
just-
exactly what
yeah.
that is. I think what they're doing is they're building the whole thing now, but they're only opening half of it.
Oh, okay.
And once they're ready to open that second half, we would need to be
Sure.
in the, kind of
Sure.
working in coordination with them to make sure that new 12-inch sewer is available before they
Sure.
open the second
Right.
phase. So that's
Yes.
something we've been working on in our subdividers agreement with them.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
That's good news for that area.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, thank you,
Great.
Tiffany.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Proceed.
Resolution number 23-156, in the matter of approving amendment number 1 to the owner's agreement for ravines at Hoover.
So moved.
Second. Discussion.
Good morning, Commissioners. Lee Bodnar, Administrator for the Engineer's Office. Before you for your consideration, the ravines at Hoover is located off of Tussock Street Road, just north of Big Walnut Road in Genoa Township. The developer has requested that we amend the current owner's agreement to provide the construction security for the build-outs. This amendment has been reviewed, and we would recommend your approval.
Any questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 24-156. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Resolution number 24-157, in the matter of approving a developer's agreement for Orange Summit North.
So moved.
Second. Discussion.
Yes, Commissioners, again, for your consideration, Orange Summit North is located south off of Shanahan Road, just east of 23 in Orange Township. The developer will be providing their fair share for the new roadway construction, and we would recommend your approval.
Questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 24-157. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Resolution number 24-158, in the matter of approving the plat of subdivision for the ravines at Hoover.
So moved.
Second. Discussion.
Yes, Commissioners, this is the platted subdivision for ravines at Hoover. Again, the development is located off of Tussock Street Road, north of Big Walnut, Genoa Township. It consists of 58 buildable lots, and it's been reviewed by all required agencies, and we would recommend your approval.
Are these condos?
I do not know, I don't believe so,
Okay, okay.
but I will check to be
Separate
sure
homes. Okay, okay.
and get back with you on that, Commissioner,
Okay.
for sure.
Thank you, Lee.
Call for vote.
Vote on motion 24-158. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 24-159, in the matter of approving a professional services agreement with Manikin and Smith Group Incorporated for Dell CR 30-2.80 Sunbury Road and Big Walnut improvements.
So moved.
Second. Discussion.
Yes, Commissioners, for your consideration, this is for the Manick and Smith Group to supply engineering and design services in relation to the road improvements and the single-lane roundabout that will be installed at the intersection of Sunbury Road and Big Walnut Road in Genoa Township. Construction is scheduled to begin late 2026 or early 2027. We're a little bit early in the process to give you a finite time, but we would recommend your approval.
Questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 24-159. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Resolution number 24-160, in the matter of awarding a bid and approving a contract between the Delaware County Commissioners and Brennan Stahl Construction Incorporated for the Lynetta Lane Drainage Improvement Project.
So moved.
Second, discussion.
Yes, Commissioners, for your consideration, this is to award the bid in the amount of $89,823.86 for the Lynetta Lane Drainage Improvement Projects that are in Genoa Township. The construction is scheduled to begin in March and is to be completed by the end of April. And we would recommend your approval to move forward on this project.
Questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 24-160. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 24-161, in the matter of approving a right-of-way work permit summary sheet.
So moved.
Second, discussion.
And finally, Commissioners, we have 6 right-of-way utility permits that are unremarkable.
Great. Great.
Questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 24-161. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Lee.
That brings us to administrator report.
Nothing today.
I don't have anything, thanks.
Commissioner Lewis.
Well, Friday is March 1st.
Huh?
I think that's worth noting, that Friday is March 1st, you know?
Okay.
I mean, we've got two months behind us of winter.
Well, we haven't had much winter this year.
Oh,
I don't call
we've
the
had enough.
snowstorm,
Yeah,
the snow Friday night much of a winter event.
and it's getting lighter at night, too.
It is.
Yeah.
Every day.
I don't have anything, thank you.
Other than the weather report.
Other than the weather report, yeah.
I just have a couple of things. I was privileged to be involved in 2 events over the weekend. I'll start with EMS had their oath of office Friday night, which was attended by the 2 people to my left here, Tracy and Don. They had RSVPs for about 100 people, slightly over. There had to be close to 200 people there. And I had the privilege of giving the oath, and these people are serving our great county. These people and their families are devoted to serving our great county. Many of them live in our county, but there are those who do not. And I don't think we should forget that we have people outside our county who are providing quality service here as well. The families, those receiving the oath, I was genuinely honored to be part of that evening. And I just want to thank everybody that was involved. And Jeremy, who was the MC that evening, did an outstanding job. And I think we should all be very, very supportive, very proud of those people, among many others who are serving our great county. The second event was the mock court at Ohio Wesleyan. I attended it Friday evening before I went to the swearing in, but I had the opportunity to speak Saturday morning. Commissioner Benton spoke Friday evening, among other speakers. And my first time to attend, I believe Commissioner Benton has attended in the past, at least one other time. How that works is whichever party's not in power, they have a mock convention around that political party. So this year it was the Republican Party. And to watch the students and how they perform and how they take this seriously, but there was always humor involved in this as well. I thought it was a fantastic, even Natalie Frable was there as a delegate. I can't remember what state she was representing. Indiana, thank you. And it was extremely well done, very enjoyable, and those are the kind of events that kind of feel-good events, but also an educational event. And hopefully the students left there with a little bit of understanding of the political process. And other than that, I have nothing else. I don't believe we have a need for executive, is that correct?
No, we do not have a need for executive.
Okay, with that, we are adjourned.